Want to grow more money? Want to grow more plants for less money this year? Me too. Hi, my name is Noah, and today I'm going to show you how easy it is to start growing your seeds indoors before the outdoor season. Starting seeds indoors can be a rewarding way to kick off your growing season. Watching your little seeds grow, sometimes in 3 to 5 days, feels pretty awesome. Plus, you're giving your garden a little bit of a head start. But I will tell you, there is nothing more frustrating than when your seedlings fail and die. You spend all this time watering them, giving them the right environment, you bought all this stuff for it, and then they shrivel up and die. Well, today I'm here to show you what works for me. And so I encourage you to try your own things and see what works for you, but hopefully you get some ideas on how to start seeds. Before I start, I just want to say that plants have been surviving for thousands of years without human intervention. These tips and tools are really just ways to increase the chances of success for growing these. In cold climates like Massachusetts, slow-growing plants and other tropical plants are not great growing outdoors and starting seeds outdoors. They don't have enough time to really reach full maturity by the time the growing season starts. Tomatoes, for example, require warm soil to germinate and take a long time to reach maturity. Thus, they are started usually indoors well before the last frost date. When to start your seeds inside? A lot of people, including myself, start seeds too early. And what happens is a lot of the plants actually get hurt and starts to suffocate inside their tiny little cells. It's actually detrimental to the plant. So check the back of your seeds and find out when it's recommended to plant. These tomatoes say when to start inside, recommended 4 to 6 weeks before transplant. So transplant is 1 to 2 weeks after your last frost date. Take your frost date, add 1 to 2 weeks, and then you have either 6 or 8 weeks before you're planning on putting those seeds outside. The ideal soil temperature for germination is between 70 and 90 degrees Fahrenheit. Remember that later in the video when we talk about tools. I can't stress this enough, read the back of your seed packets because each type of plant has different needs. Seed depth, time of season, watering, light exposure, all of these are going to be dependent on the type of seeds you're starting. But I will say the general process is pretty similar across most seeds. Seed starting is so much easier when you have the right tools. So let's take a look at some must-haves for successful seed starting. Successful seed starting. Okay, first you need the perfect environment. So seed trays are a classic choice. They're compact, reusable, and make it easy to manage a lot of seeds at once. Personally, I like a little bit bigger of a cell. This one's a little bit bigger than I would use, but the reason is because eventually I will forget or I planted them too early. Seeds started in something a little bit bigger can last longer because their roots aren't going to constrict in the back of this and suffocate the plant. If you use, like these are the classic seed trays, you know, I can do a lot more seedlings in one of these, but it might get a little root bound or leggy if I don't get them outside soon enough. Next, unless you have a beautiful greenhouse like this one, I recommend getting a tiny greenhouse. This is a humidity dome. Humidity dome is basically a tiny greenhouse. A humidity dome helps retain moisture and creates a mini greenhouse effect, perfect for germinating seeds. Okay, next is a heat mat. Yes, this is gross because I use it for plants that have dirt in them. So a heat mat is a game changer and pretty much necessary in my opinion. It provides a consistent medium warmth, which is essential for sprouting seeds. And if you don't have a heat mat, I always recommend either your Wi-Fi or on top of the fridge or a radiator, something that's not super hot, but warm enough to kind of help those seeds germinate. Make sure that you put it in a spot that you can check frequently because once these seedlings pop, they're gonna want light. So speaking of lights, that's where a grow light can come in handy. Grow lights are essential when starting seeds indoors because even a sunny windowsill might not provide enough light during the shorter winter days. I recommend a light dedicated for growing plants. Plants don't need light to actually emerge from the ground, but it is a good idea to have it above your plants, especially when you know that they're gonna sprout soon. And that light actually gives a little extra warmth. So cool, we got all the stuff we need, but we still need to put the seeds in something. Every gardener has their favorite mix, and by the end of your gardening journey, you will have your favorite mix too. If you want to start with the obvious, seed starter. This is seed starter from Coast of Maine. You can find seed starting in a lot of different places. Seed starter is usually made of peat moss. It's perfect for delicate seedlings. Coast of Maine organic blend. This is a great option if you are looking for one. Highly recommend, big fan of this brand. All right, let's start some seeds. Here's a quick step-by-step. Number one, I like to use an old bucket or bowl to pour your soil into. Probably way too much. And we want to actually pre-moisten this soil by pouring some water in and mixing. Remember, you want it damp but not dripping wet. Okay, just a little spray. This seed starter mix is so good. It just kind of absorbs that water, and it's looking great. It's looking great. So breaking up all these chunks that might have been made in the package, plastic packaging. Mix. Cool. So yeah, nice and dark. Perfect. Next, fill your tray or pot with moistened seed starting mix. Don't pack it too tightly, keep it light and airy, but push softly down with your hands and fingers. I'm really just tamping it down lightly. Sometimes you might get like little pieces of bark or sticks, just try and remove those. Perfect. Number 3, plant seeds at the depth of recommended on the packet. General rule is 2 or 3 times the seed's diameter, but make sure you refer to the seeds packets. And so all of the seeds we have here at Weston are actually from Botanical Interest. I have great results using this brand. We sell them at all Weston Nurseries, so come by and get some. I got my tomatoes here. Go with these Glacier. So on the back here it says seed depth 1/4 inch, days to emerge 5 to 10 days. And you can put a couple of these per hole. And on the back of the thing it says you should thin them out. So once they emerge from the soil, you can start to thin these out and see which one has the most vigor and largest, or whatever you want to choose. By doing multiples, you're ensuring that you're getting actual plants, not just, your seedling dies and that cell has kind of gone to waste. Cool, so we got our tomatoes. I'm gonna just lightly tamp this down, same thing, maybe add a little extra mix on top. Perfect. It is super important to remember to label these things, because if you're like me, you always forget. And if you're like me, you like tomatoes. So just trying to guess what it is based off what the leaves are is not a great idea. Remember to always label. Of course, I smudged it, let it dry, stick it in. So in this one is gonna be basil. Tiny, tiny seeds. So these are tiny, so I'm just gonna do a little indent on the top. That might be too much. And you know those store-bought basils that you get, and it's super filled and lush and a ton of basil, but then you bring it home and all of a sudden it starts to kind of die back a little bit. Those grocery store basils, they just jam filled with tiny basil plants. So it's not one giant basil plant you have. It's a billion little plants that are all vying for attention and water and space in the soil, and just fighting each other and strangling each other to death. So do the right thing and plant some of your own basil. So all set with my tomato and basil, which is perfect for a little Italian feast. Next, I'm going to get my humidity dome. Once I put the dome on, I'm going to put my heat mat down, and we are good to go. So I'm going to remember to check on this and make sure that my seedlings are not getting dried out. I'm going to add a little bit of water. So what I do is I'll open this up. If I need to add some more moisture, I'll just actually add water to the bottom here, let this soil soak it up. Not too much, I don't want it to be swimming, but enough where it can be absorbed by this soil seed mix. And yeah, I'm doing tomatoes because I love tomatoes, all types of tomatoes. So this bush variety tomato Glacier is going to be a good producer for me.
Several days later.
Okay, so you have your seedlings, but hold up. We're not ready to put these outside yet. Don't throw your seedlings outside right away after they sprouted. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. If I brought this from a 90-degree greenhouse and brought it outside, even if it's 50 degrees out, it's still pretty cold for this plant, and it might produce shock. Shock will have the plant stunted or slow growth, and starting the seeds inside, the whole point is to get a jump start. So if you're doing that, you're really just shooting yourself in the foot. So you have to harden off. Hardening off is the process of gradually bringing this plant outside. So I might, take my tray of seedlings, put them outside on the windowsill for 5-10 minutes, then bring them inside. The next time I do it, it's probably gonna be 30 minutes, then bring them inside. And yes, this is a tedious task, but it is so important in order to get your plants acclimated to the weather outside. If I pulled you from a jacuzzi and threw you into the pool that was unheated, you'd be pretty upset too. So now you have the appropriate growing medium and the appropriate tools to start seeds and have the garden of your dreams this summer. If you have any questions or you need garden supplies, seed starting supplies, stop by your local Weston Nurseries. We're in Hopkinton, Chelmsford, Lincoln, and Hingham, or visit westonfarmtodoor.com in order to get plants shipped directly to your doorstep. For Weston Nurseries, my name is Noah Lynn. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.